Hi, Daily Zeitgeist. I've decided to do this because I've been thinking about it for days, and I just thought today, okay, I'm just going to do it. I have no makeup on, and I'm in my incredibly messy room because we moved in just a little while ago, and I don't want to call this an audition because I was in theater for a long time, and that word gives me the heebie-jeebies. It makes me terrified. So I'm going to say this is like my interview to be the third seat on February 28th when you come to Toronto to the Great Hall. Now, I understand that you probably want to have a famous comedian or a famous celebrity, neither of which I am. What I am is someone who's been a listener for almost as long as you've been around, and I listen every day, and I feel as if I know you, although obviously I don't. But Anna Hosnier and I do like each other's stuff on Twitter. Of course, she doesn't follow me, I follow her, but that's okay. Because I'm not famous, right? Who am I? Okay, so first of all, I know all the questions, and my answers are going to be specifically Canadian because I'm figuring you're going to want to gear your stuff to your audience a little bit. Okay, so first of all, what is a myth? Something that people believe to be true, but I know that it is not. So my myth is that Canadians are less racist than Americans. I think that this myth has been perpetrated for a couple of reasons. First of all, we like to view ourselves as being this incredibly benevolent, warm, wonderful country that's welcoming to everybody. And don't get me wrong, we are. But we all grew up with the same stuff on TV. We had two channels growing up that were Canadian, and all the really good stuff was on the US channels. So I knew what a bill was sitting on Capitol Hill way before I knew anything about Canadian Parliament. I actually still don't know much about Canadian Parliament. I live, eat, and breathe US politics, so there you go. So I sort of feel like racism is more generational than it is geographical. We're a little quieter about our racism because it just is really frowned upon here. But make no mistake, you're going to get a lot of the same influences and a lot of the same feelings. It's just maybe we don't have a leader who's made it possible for people to stand on top of a mountaintop and yell them. Now, things are changing here the same way they are in the United States. Maybe our racism takes a little bit of a different tack because we didn't have the history of slavery, but we have our own system of terrible, terrible things we perpetrated on Indigenous people. Now, full well knowing that every answer I'm giving is going to make me hated by a large group of people, I'm just going to take it. I figure, what have I got to lose? Truth is good. Overrated. Tim Hortons coffee. Tim Horton was this hockey player who opened up a coffee shop, and then it grew into a huge chain, and it's the hugest coffee chain in Canada. It would be like Dunkin' Donuts in the United States. And their coffee just isn't that great. It's actually kind of acidy. And if you actually ask a lot of people, they will admit that that's true. I think a lot of their popularity is just plentifulness. They are everywhere. They're on every single corner. So people are just kind of used to it. But if you really ask them, they'll say, actually, I like the coffee better at Krispy Kreme or at Country Style or at McDonald's even. Now, that's not the same for tea. They have a steep tea, which means it's pre-brewed. They brew it in a pot. It's sort of like a teapot, if you will. It's some of the best tea you'll ever have in your life. So I'll go to Tim Hortons and have a tea. I just won't go to Tim Hortons and have a coffee. Underrated. Basketball. I'm looking at you, Miles. Because what's Canada's national sport? Hockey, right? Everyone knows that. Even Americans know that our national sport is hockey. I'm saying this to you not as a sports fan. I'm a Johnny-come-lately sports fan. Like, I like the playoffs, I like the finals, that stuff's all great. We just went through winning the NBA finals, and that was pretty awesome, and I was there for it, for the last month. This is coming from actually my husband, who is an insane sports fan and has grown up with hockey, and unfortunately he grew up in Toronto, so his team is the Maple Leafs, who haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, so he can't even remember it. The first big win he remembers is the Russia-Canada Cup, which I think was in 1972. So anyway, he's had a life of hell, but he's supported his team this whole time. And something happened a couple of years ago, even before the Raptors won the NBA playoffs, where he started to turn. And he actually started to say, hey, it's just a better sport to watch. The players seem to be more in it. It's more exciting. He was just tired, I guess, of ramming his head against a brick wall. And the whole fighting thing, There are altercations in basketball, but in hockey they have fights, like real fights, like pulling off jerseys and whamming each other in the head. And I don't know if that's a thing for us really to be proud of. I sort of would like to think that as a society we have moved past gladiator battles in the Colosseum. You know what I'm saying? Canada, are we really such a non-violent, fabulous country, and yet we celebrate this sport where we watch people beat the snot out of each other? I mean, the inventor of it was a Canadian guy after all. Come on. So I'm going to say, in Canada anyway, underrated basketball. And in terms of hot takes, whatever I send is going to be super dated. But trust me when I tell you that I watch all the same things you guys do. I watch every Democratic debate. I watched every second of the Lev Parnas interview twice. And I am heavily invested on what's happening in the United States because honestly, the day of the election when Trump won, my entire life changed. It changed for a lot of people, but trust me, it changed for people in Canada too. I lost a lot of my faith in humanity, and I feel like I've had the flu for more than 3 years. So, Daily Zeitgeist, you have kept me laughing. I love listening to you every day. And I feel like we could have a really good conversation. Okay, even if I can't have your third seat, I'd love to meet you guys and just say hi. And I'm figuring Anna's super busy with all of her stuff that she does, so she's probably not going to be here, but I would love to say hi to Anna too. Oh, and all your friends. Hannah, Lil Zam. Oh, now I'm just name dropping. Okay, bye. See you in Toronto regardless.